Hello and welcome to day 4 of our 400th anniversary of A Game of Chess Readings. This is
Well, this is definitely not. I'm not Rob, but this is the a variant text that we've adapted from the full version. And various people are playing various parts. I don't actually have the class list in front of me, and going through them would be very, very long. So without further ado, let's get to it. I believe we have an induction starting us off. So yeah.
Ah, where? Angle of the world is this, that I can neither see the politic face, nor with my refined nostrils taste the footsteps of any my disciples, sons, and heirs, as well as my designs as institution. I thought they had spread over the world by this time, covered the earth's face, and made dark the land like the Egyptian grasshoppers. Here's too much light appears shot from the eyes of truth and goodness, yet never yet deflowered. Sure they were never here. Then is your monarchy unperfect yet? A just reward, I see, for their ingratitude so long to me, their father and their founder. 'Tis not 5 years since I was sainted by 'em, where slept mine honour all the time before. Could they be so forgetful to canonize their prosperous institutor? When they had sainted me, they found no room in all their calendar to place my name, that should have removed princes, pulled the most eminent prelates by the roots up for my dear coming, to make way for me. Let every pretty martyr and saint homily, och, main and Petronil, itch and ague carers, your abbess Aldegund and Cunigund, the widow Marcel, parson Polycarp, Cecily and Ursula all take place of me. But for their bisextile leap year and that but 1 in 3, I fall by chance into the 9th and 20th day of February. There were no room else for me. See their love, their conscience too, to thrust me a lame soldier into leap year. Ha! My wrath's up, and methinks I could, with the first syllable of my name, blow up their colleges. Error! Awake! Father of subrogation, rise. It is Ignatius calls thee, Loyola.
Oh, what have you done? Oh, I could sleep in ignorance immortally. The slumber is so pleasing. I saw the bravest setting for a game now that ever mine eye fixed on.
What game, prithee?
The noblest game of all, a game at chess, betwixt our side and the White House. The men set in their just order, ready to go to it.
Were any of my sons placed for the game?
Yes, and daughters too. A secular daughter that plays the Black Queen's pawn, he the Black Bishop's.
If ever Powered could show a mastery in thee, let it appear in this.
Oh, 'tis but a dream. A vision, you must think.
I care not what, so I behold the children of my cunning, and see what rank they keep.
You have your wish. Behold, there's the full number of the game. Kings and their pawns, queens, bishops, knights, and dukes.
Dukes? They're called rooks by some.
Le roc, the word, Casteau de la Roche, the keeper of the ports, in whom both kings repose much confidence, and for their trust's sake, courage and worth do well deserve these titles.
The answer's high. I see my son and daughter.
Those are the two pawns, the black queens and the black bishops.
Pawns argue but poor spirits and slight preferments, not worthy of the name of my disciples. If I had stood so nigh, I would have cut that bishop's throat, but I'd have had his place, and told the queen a love tale in her ear would make her best pulse dance. There's no elixir of brain or spirit amongst them.
Why? Would you have them play against themselves? That's quite against the rules of the game, Ignatius.
I would rule myself, not observe rule.
Why, then you'd play all by yourself.
I would do anything to rule alone. It's rare to have the world reigned in by one.
See 'em anon, and mark 'em in their play. Observe, as in a dance, they glide away.
Oh, with what longings will this breast be tossed, until I see this great game won and lost.
I ne'er see that face, but my pity rises, when I behold so clear a masterpiece of heaven's art, wrought out of dust and ashes. And at next thought to give her lost eternally in being not ours, but the daughter of heresy, my soul bleeds at mine eyes.
Where should truth speak, if not in such a sorrow? Their tears plainly. Beshrew me if she weep not heartily. What is my peace to her to take such pains in it? If I wander to lofts, and with broad eyes yet miss the path she can run blindfold in, through often exercise, why should my oversight, though not in the best game that e'er Christian lost, raise the least spring of pity in her eyes? It's doubtless a great charity, and no virtue could win me surer.
Blessed things prevail with. If ever goodness made a gracious promise, it is in yonder look. What little pains would build a fort for virtue to all memory in that sweet creature, were the groundwork firmer?
It hath been all my glory to be firm in what I have professed.
That is the enemy that steals your strength away and fights against you, disarms your soul even in the heat of battle. Your firmness that way makes you more infirm for the right Christian conflict. There I spied a zealous primitive sparkle, but now flew from your devoted eye, able to blow up all the heresies that ever sat in council with your spirit. And here comes he, whose sanctimonious breath will make that spark a flame. List to him, virgin, at whose first entrance princes will fall prostrate. Women are weaker vessels.
By my penitence, a comely presentation, and the habit to admiration reverend.
But the heart, lady, so meek that, as you see, good charity pictured still with young ones in her arms, so will he cherish all his young, tractable, sweet, obedient daughters, even in his bosom, in his own dear bosom. I am myself a secular Jesuitess, as many ladies are of worth and greatness. A second sort are Jesuits in voto, giving their vow unto the Father General. That's the Black Bishop of our house, whose pawn this gentleman now stands for, to receive the college habit at his holy pleasure.
But how are those in voto employed, lady, till they receive the habit?
They're not idle. He finds them all true laborers in the work of the universal monarchy, which he and all his disciples principally aim at. Those are maintained in many courts and palaces, and are induced by noble personages into great prince services, and prove some councillors of state, some secretaries, all serving in notes of intelligence, as parish clerks their mortuary bills to their father general. So are designs oft-times prevented, and important secrets of states discovered, yet no author found, but they suspected oft that are most sound. This mystery is too deep yet for your entrance, and I offend to send your zeal so back. Checked by obedience, with desire to hasten your progress to perfection, I commit you to the great worker's hands, to whose grave worth I fit my reverence, as to you my wishes.
Must find a supple.
There's a little passage made.
Let me contemplate. With holy wonder season my access, and by degrees approach the sanctuary of unmatched beauty, set in grace and goodness. Amongst the daughters of men I've not found a more catholical aspect. That eye doth promise single life and meek obedience. On those lips, the sweet fresh buds of youth, the holy dew of prayer lies like pearl dropped from the opening eyelids of the morn upon the bashful rose. How beauteously a gentle fast, not rigorously imposed, would look upon that cheek. And how delightfully the courteous physic of a tender penance whose utmost cruelty should not exceed the first fear of a bride to beat down frailty, would work to sound health your long-festered judgment, and make your merit, which through erring ignorance appears but spotted righteousness to me, far clearer than the innocence of infants.
To that good work I bow, and will become obedience's humblest daughter, since I find the assistance of a sacred strength to aid me. The labor isn't easy to serve virtue the right way, since 'tis she I ever served in my desire, though I transgressed in judgment.
That's easily absolved amongst the rest. You shall not find the virtue that you serve now a sharp and cruel mistress. Her ears open to all your supplications. You may boldly and safely let in the most secret sin into her knowledge, which, like vanished man, never returns into the world again. Fate locks up not more trulier.
To the guilty that may appear some benefit.
Who's so innocent that never stands in need on't in some kind? The very thought were blab that so confessed, the very air we breathe would be unblessed. Now to the work indeed, which is the capture inclination. It's the special use we make of all our practice in all kingdoms. For by discovering their most secret frailties, things which once ours they must not hide from us, it's the first article in the creed we teach them, finding to what point their blood most inclines, knowing best to apt them then to our desires. Daughter, the sooner you disperse your errors, the sooner you make haste to your recovery. You must part with them. To be nice or modest towards this good action is to imitate the bashfulness of one conceals an ulcer. For the uncomely parts, the tumour vexes till it be past cure. Resolve you thus far, lady. Private thought that runs to hide itself in the most secret corner of your heart now must be of my acquaintance. So familiarly, never she friend of your night counsels nearer.
I stand not much in fear of any action guilty of that black time, most noble holiness. I must confess, as a sacred temple thronged with an auditory, some come rather to feed on human object than to taste of angels' food. So in the congregation of quick thoughts, which are more infinite than such assemblies, I cannot with truth's safety speak for all. Some have been wanderers, some fond, some sinful, but those found ever but poor entertainment. They had small encouragement to come again. The single life, which strongly I profess now, heaven pardon me, I was about to part from.
Then you have passed through love.
But left no stain. In all my passage, sir, no print of wrong for the most chaste maid that may trace my footsteps.
How came you off so clear?
I was discharged by an inhuman accident which modesty forbids me to put any language to.
How you forget yourself, all actions clad in their proper language, though most sordid, my ear is bound by duty to let in and lock up everlastingly. Shall I help you? He was not found to answer his creation, a vestal virgin in a slip of grace, could not deliver man's loss modestly. 'Twas the white bishop's pawn.
The same, blessed sir.
A Puritan well pickled.
by base treachery and violence prepared by his competitor, the Black Knight's pawn, whom I shall ever hate for it.
'Twas of revenges the unmanliest way that ever rival took, a villainy that for your sake I'll ne'er absolve him of.
I wish it not so heavy.
He must feel it. I never yet gave absolution to any crime of that unmanning nature. It seems then you refused him for defect. Therein you stand not pure from the desire that other women have in ends of marriage. Pardon my boldness if I sift your goodness to the last grain.
I reverence your pains, sir, and must acknowledge custom to enjoy what other women challenge and possess more ruled me than desire. For my desires dwell all in ignorance, and I'll never wish to know that fond way may redeem 'em thence.
Never was so taken, but said doubly now with her judgment. What strength it puts forth. I bring work nearer to you. When you've seen a masterpiece of man composed by heaven for a great prince's favor, kingdom's love, so exact envy could not find a place to stick a blot on person or on fame, have you not found ambition swell your wish then, and desire stir your blood?
By virtue, never. I've only in the dignity of the creature admired the Maker's glory.
She's impregnable. Second siege must not fall off so tamely. 'Tis one of those must be informed to know a daughter's duty, which some take on untaught. Her modesty brings her behindhand much. My old means I must fly to. Yes, this is it. Please you, peruse this small tract of obedience. 'Twill help you forward well.
Sir, that's a virtue I've ever thought on with special reverence.
You will conceive by that my power, your duty.
The knowledge will be precious of both, sir.
What makes you trumpeter of all Christian waters so near this blessed spring? Whether I know her goodness is the rock from whence it issues, unmovable as fate, 'twould more afflict me than all my sufferings for her, which, so long as she holds constant to the house she comes of, the whiteness of the cause, the side, the quality, are sacrifices to her worth and virtue, and though confined in my religious joys, I'd marry her and possess her.
Behold, lady, the two inhuman enemies, the Black Knight's pawn and the White Bishop's, the gelder and the gelded.
There's my grief, my hate.
What? In the Jesuit's fingers? By this hands, I'll give my part now for a parrot's feather she never returns virtuous. 'Tis impossible. I'll undertake more wagers will be laid upon a usurer's return from hell than upon hers from him now. I have been guilty of such base malice that my very conscience shakes at the memory of it. When I look to gather fruit, find nothing but the savin tree, too frequent in nuns' orchards, and there planted, by all conjecture, to destroy fruit rather. I'll be resolved now. Most noble virgin.
Noble villain, dare that unhallowed tongue lay hold upon a sound so gracious? What's nobleness to thee, or virgin chastity, that add to thy acquaintance? Talk of violence that shames creation, deeds would make night blush. That's company for thee. Hast thou the impudence to court me with a leprosy upon thee, able to infect the walls of a great building?
Son of a fence footbag, go, set your evil before your eyes. A penitential vesture would better become you, some shirt of hair.
And you a £3 smock instead of an alb, an epicene chasuble. This holy felon robs safe and close. I feel a sting that's worse too. A white pawn. Hast so much charity to accept a reconcilement? Make thine own conditions, for I begin to be extremely burdened.
No truth or peace of that black house protested is to be trusted. But of her hope of quittance and warned by diffidence, I may entrap him soonest. I admit conference.
It's a nobleness that makes confusion cleave to all my merits.
That treatise will instruct you fully.
So, the business of the universal monarchy goes forward well now. The great college pot that should be always boiling with the fuel of all intelligences possible for the Christian kingdoms. Is this fellow our prime incendiary, and one of those that promised the White Kingdom 7 years since to our Black House? Put a new daughter to him, the great work stands. He minds not monarchy nor hierarchy, diviner principality. I have bragged less, but have done more than all the conclave of 'em. Take their assistant fathers in all parts, yea, and their father general in to boot. And what I've done facetiously, with pleasant subtlety and bewitching courtship, abused all my believers with delight. They took a comfort to be cozened by me. To many a soul I've let in mortal poison, whose cheeks have cracked with laughter to receive it. I could so roll my pills in sugared syllables, and strew such kindly mirth o'er all my mischief, they took their bane in way of recreation, as pleasure steals corruption into youth. He spies me now. I must uphold his reverence, especially in public, though I know Priapus, guardian of the cherry gardens, Bacchus and Venus chit, is not more vicious.
Blessings accumulation keep with you, sir.
Honor's dissimulation be your due, sir.
How deep in duty his observance plunges. His charge must needs be reverent.
I am confessor to this Black Knight, too. You see, devotion's fruitful, hath many sons and daughters.
I do this the more to amaze our adversaries, to behold the reverence we give these Gutenants, and to beget a sound opinion of holiness in them and zeal in us, as also to invite the like obedience in other pucelles by our meek example. So, is your trifle vanished?
Trifle call you her, 'tis a good pawn, sir. Sure, she's the second pawn in the White House, and to the opening of the game I hold her.
Ah, you hold well for that. I know your play of old. If there were more queen's pawns, you'd ply the game a great deal harder. Now, sir, we're in private, but what for the great work, the main existence, the hope monarchical?
It goes on in this.
In this, I cannot see it.
You may deny so a dial's motion, because you cannot see the hand move, or a wind that rends the cedar.
Where stops the current of intelligence? Your father general, bishop of the Black House, complains for want of work.
Here's from all parts sufficient to employ him. I received a packet from the system fathers lately. Look, there is Anglica, this Gallica.
Aye, marry, sir, there's some quick flesh in this.
Germanica.
I think they've sealed this with butter.
This Italica.
They've put their pens the Hebrew way, methinks.
Hispanica here.
Hispanica, blind work this. The Jesuit hath writ this with the juice of lemons, sure. It must be held close to the fire of purgatory, ere it can be read.
You would not lose your jest, knight, you would not lose your jest, knight, though it wound your own name.
Curanda pecunia.
Take heed, sir, we're entrapped, the White King's pawn.
He's made our own man, half in voto yours. His heart's in the Black House. Leave him to me. Most of all friends endeared, preciously special.
You see my outside, but you know my heart, knight. Great difference in the color. Here's some intelligence. And as more ripened, so your knowledge still shall prove the richer. There shall nothing happen, believe it, to extenuate your cause or to oppress her friends, but I will cross it with my counsel, purse, and power. Keep all supplies back, both in means and men, that may raise strength against you. We must part. I dare no longer of this scheme discuss. The ear of state is quick and jealous.
excellent estimation. Thou art valued above the fleet of gold that came short home. Poor Jesuit-ridden soul, how art thou fooled out of thy faith, from thy allegiance drawn? Which way soe'er thou takest, thou art a lost pawn.
Here again, it is the daughter's duty to obey the her confessor's command in all things, without exception or expostulation. 'Tis the most general rule that e'er I read of. Yet when I think how boundless virtue is, goodness and grace, 'tis gently reconciled, and then it appears well to have the power of this dispenser as uncircumscribed.
She's hard upon it. 'Twas the most modest key that I could use to open my intents, but little or no pains goes to some people. Huh. What have we here? Sealed note. When's this? To the Black Bishop's pawn these. Out to me. Strange, who subscribes it? The Black King. What would he? Pawn sufficiently holy, but immeasurably politic, we had late intelligence from our most industrious servant, famous in all parts of Europe, a knight of the Black House, that you have at this instant in chase the White Queen's pawn, and very likely by the carriage of your game to entrap and take her. These are therefore to require you, by the burning affection I bear to the rape of devotion, that speedily, upon the surprisal of her, by all watchful advantage you make some attempt upon the White Queen's person, whose fall or prostitution our lust most violently rages for. Sir, after my desire hath took a julep for its own inflammation that yet scorches me, I shall have cooler time to think of yours. She hath passed the general rule, the large extent of our prescriptions for obedience, and yet with what alacrity of soul her eyes move on the letters.
Holy sir, too long I've missed you. Oh, your absence starves me. Hasten for time's redemption. Worthy sir, lay your commands as thick and fast upon me as you can speak them. How I thirst to hear them. Set me to work upon this spacious virtue which the poor span of life's too narrow for. Boundless obedience, the humblest yet the mightiest of all duties. Well, here set down a universal goodness.
Like holiness of garment, a safe innocence, frighted the full meaning from itself. She's further off from understanding now the language of my intent than at first meeting.
For virtue's sake, good sir, command me something. Make trial of my duty in some small service. As you find the faith of my obedience there, then trust it with a greater.
You speak sweetly. I do command you first, then.
With what joy I do prepare my duty.
To meet me and seal a kiss of love upon my lips.
Huh?
At first disobedient. So little too. How shall I trust you with a greater then, which was your own request?
Pray send not back mine innocence to wound me. Be more courteous. I must confess, much like an ignorant plaintiff who, presuming on the fair path of his meaning, goes rashly on till on a sudden brought into the wilderness of law by words dropped unadvisedly, hurts his good cause and gives his adversary advantage by it. Apply it. You can best, sir. If my obedience and your command can find no better way, fond men command, and wantons best obey.
I can at that distance send you a blessing. Is it not nearer to you in mine arms? It flies from these lips dealt abroad in parcels, and I, who honour thee above all daughters, invite thee home to the house, where thou mayst surfeit on that which others miserably pine for, a favour which the daughters of great potentates would look of envy's colour but to hear.
Good men may err sometimes, you're mistaken sure. If this be virtue's path, 'tis a most strange one. I never came this way before.
It's your ignorance. And therefore shall that idiot still conduct you that knows no way but one, nor ever seeks it? If there be 20 ways to some poor village, 'tis strange that virtue should be put to one. Your fear is wondrous faulty. Wrest it from you, or rather else in time a disobedience too stubborn for my pardon.
Have I locked myself at unawares into sin's servitude with more desire of goodness? Is this the top of all strict order and the holiest of all societies? The three vowed people for poverty, obedience, chastity, the last, the most forgot? When a virgin's ruined, I see the great work of obedience is better than half finished.
Stranger are you to duty grown? What distance keep you? Must I bid you come forward to a happiness yourself should sue for? 'Twas ne'er so with me. I dare not let this stubbornness be known, 'twould bring such fierce hate on you. Yet presume not to make that courteous care a privilege for wilful disobedience. It turns then into the blackness of a curse upon you. Come, come, be nearer.
Nearer?
Was that scorn? I would not have it prove so for the hopes of the grand monarchy. If it were like it, let me not dare to stir it abroad again. A stronger ill will cope with it.
Bless me, threatens me, and quite dismays the good strength that should help me. I never was so doubtful of my safety.
Was my jealousy. Forgive me, sweetness. Yours is the house of meekness, and no venom lives under that roof. Be nearer. Why so fearful? Nearer the altar, the more safe and sacred.
But nearer to the offerer, oft more wicked.
With plain and most insufferable contempt. Glory I have lost upon this woman in freely offering that she should have kneeled a year in vain for. My respect is darkened. Give me my reverence again, thou hast robbed me of in thy repulse. Thou shalt not carry it hence.
Sir?
Thou art too great a winner to depart, and I too deep a loser to give way to it.
Oh, heaven.
Lay me down reputation before thou stirrest. Thy nice virginity is recompense too little for my love. 'Tis well if I accept of that, for both thy loss is but thine own. There's art to help thee, and fools to pass thee to. In my discovery, the whole society suffers, and in that the hope of absolute monarchy eclipsed. Assurance thou canst make none for thy secrecy, but by thy honour's loss. That act must awe thee.
Oh, my distressed condition.
Dost thou weep? If thou hadst any pity, this necessity would wring it from thee. I must else destroy thee. We must not trust the policy of Europe upon a woman's tongue.
Then take my life, sir, and leave mine honour for my guide to heaven.
Take heed I take not both, which I have vowed, if longer thou resist me.
Help! Oh, help!
Art thou so cruel, for an honour's bubble, to undo a whole fraternity and disperse the secrets of most princes locked in us?
For heaven and virtue's sake!
Thus force confound! What's that? Silence. Fair word be in thee.
I'll venture my escape upon all dangers now.
Comes to take me. Let me see that pawn's face, or his proud tympanous master, swelled with state wind, which being once pricked in the convocation house, if the corrupt air puffs out, and they fall shriveled.
I will discover the arch hypocrite to all the kindreds of the earth.
Confusion. In that voice rings the alarm of my undoing. How? Which way escapes she from me?
Are you mad? Can lust infatuate a man so hopeful? No patience in your blood. The dog-star reigns, sure. Time and fair temper would have wrought her pliant. I spied a pawn of the White House walk near us, and made that noise on purpose to give warning. For mine own turn, which end is all I work for.
Thinks I stand over a powder vault, and the match now kindling. What's to be done?
Ask the Black Bishop's counsel. You're his pawn. Take his own case. He will defend you mainly. And happily here he comes, with the Black Knight too.
Well, you've made noble work for the White House yonder. This act will fill the adversary's mouth and blow the Lutheran's cheeks till they crack again.
This will advance the great monarchical business in all parts well and help the ageless forward. What I in 7 years labored to accomplish, 1 minute sets back by some codpiece college still.
I dwell not, sir, alone in this default. Black House yields me partners.
All more quarterless.
Qui caute caste. That's my motto ever. I've traveled with that word over most kingdoms and lain safe with all nations. Of a leaking bottom, I've been as often tossed on Venus seas as trimmer, fresher vessels, when sounder barks have lain at anchor, that is, kept adore.
She hath no witness then?
None.
Gross.
Witness.
When went a man of his society to mischief with a witness?
I have done it then. Away upon the wings of speed. Take post horse, cast 30 leagues of earth behind thee sudden. Leave letters antedated with our house 10 days at least from this.
Bishop, I taste thee. Good, strong episcopal counsel. Take a bottle on't, 'twill serve thee all thy journey.
But good sir, how from my getting forth unspied?
There's cheek again.
No, I'll help that.
Oh, well said, my bouncing Jesuitess.
There lies a secret vault.
Way, make haste then.
Run for my cabinet of intelligences, for fear they search the house. Good Bishop, burn 'em rather. I cannot stand to pick 'em now.
Begone. The danger is all in you.
Let me see, Queen's Pawn. How formally have packed up his intelligences, hath laid them all in truckle beds, methinks, and like court harbingers hath writ their names in chalk upon their chambers. Anglica. This is the English house. What news there, trow? By this light, most of these are bawdy epistles. Time they were burnt indeed. Whole bundles of them. Here's from his daughter Blanche and daughter Bridget, from their safe sanctuary in the White Friars. These from 2 tender sisters of compassion in the bowels of Bloomsbury. These from the nunnery in Drury Lane. A fire, good Jesuitess, a fire. What have you there?
A note, sir, of state policy, and an exceeding safe one.
Pray, let's see it, sir. To sell away all the powder in a kingdom to prevent blowing up. That's safe. I'll able it. Here's a facetious observation now, and fits my humor better. He writes here, some wives in England will commit adultery and then send to Rome for a bull for their husbands.
Have they those shifts?
Oh, there's no female breathing sweeter and subtler. Here, wench, take these papers, search me 'em soundly, scorch 'em soundly, burn 'em to French russet, and put 'em in again.
Why, what's your mystery?
Oh, sir, 'twill mock the adversary strangely if e'er the house be searched. 'Twas done in Venice, upon the Jesuitical expulse there, when the inquisitors came all spectacled to pick out syllables out of the dung of treason, as children pick out cherry stones, yet found none but what they made themselves with ends of letters. Do as I bid you, Pawn.
Fear not. In all I love roguery too well to let it fall. How now? What news with you?
The sting of conscience afflicts me so for that inhuman violence on the White Bishop's pawn. It takes away my joy, my rest.
This 'tis to make an eunuch. You made a sport on't then.
Cease aggravation. I come to be absolved for it. Where's my confessor? Why dost thou point to the ground?
As he went that way.
What's that?
Come, help me in with this cabinet, and after I've singed these papers thoroughly, I'll tell thee a strange story.
If it be sad, 'tis welcome.
Is not troubled with much mirth, sir.
Is this my pawn, she that should guard our person, or some pale figure of dejection, her shape usurping. Sorrow and affrightment hath prevailed strangely with her.
King of integrity, queen of the same, and all the house, professors of noble candor, uncorrupted justice, and the truth of heart, through my alone discovery, my life and honor wondrously preserved, I bring into your knowledge, with my sufferings, fearful affrightments, and heart-killing terrors, the great incendiary of Christendom, the absolutist abuser of true sanctity, fair peace, and holy order, can be found in any part of the universal globe, who, making meek devotion keep the door, his lips being full of holy zeal at first, would have committed foul rape upon me.
Rape? That's foul indeed. This sounds like ear fouler than the offence itself to some kings of the earth.
Sir, to proceed, gladly I offered life to preserve honor, which would not be accepted without both, the chief of his ill aim being at mine honor, till heaven was pleased by some unlooked-for accident to give me courage to redeem myself.
When we find desperate sins in ill men's companies, we place a charitable sorrow there. Custom and their leprous inclination quits us of wonder, for our expectation is answered in their lives. To find sin, yea, and a masterpiece of darkness, sheltered under a robe of sanctity, is able to draw all wonder to that monster only, and leave created monsters unadmired. The pride of him that took first fall for pride is to be angel-shaped, and imitate the form from whence he fell. This offender, far baser than sin's master, fixed by vow to holy order, which is angel's method, takes pride to use that shape to be a devil. Grieves me that my knowledge must be tainted with this infected name, or rather with thy finger point him out.
The place which he should fill is void, my lord. His guilt hath scared him, the Black Bishop's pawn.
Ah, mine, my pawn, the glory of his order, the prime and president zealot of the earth. Impudent pawn, for thy sake at this minute modesty suffers, all that's virtuous blushes, and truth's self, like the sun vexed with a mist, looks red with anger.
Be not you drunk with rage too?
Sober sincerity, nor you with the cup spiced with hypocrisy.
Your name there, Bishop, but your own Christmas bowl, your morning's draught next your episcopal heart all the 12 days, which smack you cannot leave all the year after.
A shrewd retort has made our bishop smell of burning too. Would I stood further off, were it no impeachment to my honor or the game, would they'd play faster. White Knight, there is acknowledged from our house a reverence to you, and a respect to that loved duke stands next you, with the favor of the White King and the aforenamed respected, I combat with this cause. If with all speed, waste not one syllable, unfortunate pawn, of what I speak, thou dost not plead distraction, a plea which will but faintly take thee off neither from this Leviathan scandal that lies rolling upon the crystal waters of devotion, or what may quit thee more, though enough nothing, fall down and foam, and by that pang discover the vexing spirit of falsehood strong within thee, make thyself ready for perdition. There's no remove in all the game to scape it. This pawn, or this, the bishop, or myself, will take thee in the end. Play how thou canst.
Spite of sin's glorious ostentation and all loud threats, those thundercracks of pride ushering a storm of malice, house of impudence, craft, and equivocation, my true cause shall keep the path it treads in.
I play thus then. Now, in the hearing of this high assembly, bring forth the time of this attempt's conception.
Conception. Oh, how tenderly you handle it.
It seems, Black Knight, you are afraid to touch it.
Well, it's eruption. Will she have it so then? Or you, White Bishop, for her? The more unclean, vile, and more impious that you urge the stain to, the greater will her shame's heap show in the end, and the wronged meek man's glory. The time, pawn.
Yesterday's cursed evening.
Oh, the treasure of my revenge. I cannot spend all on thee, ruin to spare for all thy kindred too. For honor's sake, call in more slanderers. I have such plentiful confusion, I know not how to waste it. I'll be nobler yet, and put her to her own house. King of meekness, take the cause to thee, for our hands too heavy, our proofs will fall upon her like a tower, and grind her bones to powder.
What new engine has the devil raised in him now?
Is it he, and that the time? Stand firm now to your scandal, and do not shift your slander.
Shift your treacheries. They've worn one suit too long.
That holy man, so wrongfully accused by this lost pawn, hath not been seen these 10 days in these parts.
Oh,
Nay, at this instant, 30 leagues from hence.
fathomless falsehood. Will it escape unblasted?
Can you make this appear?
Light is not clearer by his own letters, most impartial monarch.
How wrongfully may sacred virtue suffer, sir.
Bishop, we have a treasure of that false heart.
Step forth and reach those proofs.
Amazement covers me. Can I be so forsaken for a cause so strong in truth and equity? Will virtue send me no aid in this hard time of friendship?
There's an infallible staff and a red hat reserved for you.
Sir, indeed.
A staff that will not easily break, you may trust to it. And such a one had your corruption need of. There's a state fig for you now.
Behold all, how they cohere in one. I always held a charity so good to holiness professed, that I ever believed rather the accuser false than the professor vicious.
A charity like all your virtues else, gracious and glorious.
Where settles the offence, let the false punishment be derived from thence. We leave her to your censure.
Ah, most just majesty.
Calamity of virtue. My queen leave me too? Am I cast off as the olive casts her flower? Poor friendless innocents, art thou left a prey to the devourer?
No, thou art not lost. Let them put on their bloodiest resolutions. In the fair policy I aim at prospers. Thy counsel, noble Duke.
For that work cheerfully.
A man for speed now.
Let it be my honour, sir. Make me that flight that owes her my life's service.
Was not this brought about well for our honours?
Pish, that Galician brain can work out wonders.
Let's use her as, upon the like discovery, a maid was used at Venice. Every one be ready with a penance. Begin, majesty. A vessel of foolish scandal, take thy freight. Had there been in that cabinet of niceness half the virginities of the earth locked up, and all swept at one cast by the dexterity of a Jesuitical gamester, had not valued the least part of that general worth thou'st tainted.
First, I enjoin thee to a 3 days' fast for't.
Oh, you're too penurious, sir. I'll make it 4.
Aye, to the 12 hours kneeling at one time.
And in a room filled all with Aretine's pictures, more than the twice 12 labors of luxury. Thou shalt not see so much as the chaste pummel of Lucrece dagger peeping. Nay, I'll punish thee for a discoverer. I'll torment thy modesty.
After that 4 days fast, to the Inquisition house, strengthened with bread and water, or worse penance.
Aye, well said, Duke of our house, nobly aggravated.
Virtue, to show her influence more strong, fits me with patience, mightier than my wrong.
Let me a little solace my designs with the remembrance of some brave ones past, to cherish the futurity of project, whose motion must be restless in that great work called the possession of that earth be ours. Was not I procured a gallant fleet from the White Kingdom to secure our coasts against the infidel pirate, under pretext of more necessitous expedition? Who made the jails fly open without miracle and let the locusts out, those dangerous flies whose property is to burn corn with touching? The heretics' granaries feel it to this minute. And now they've got among the country crops, they stick so fast to the converted ears, the loudest tempest that authority rouses will hardly shake 'em off. They have their dens in ladies' couches, theirs safe groves and fens. Nay, were they followed and found out by the scent, Paul Moyle will make a pursuivant relent. Whose policy was it to put a silenced muzzle on all the barking tongue men of the time? Made pictures that were dumb enough before poor sufferers in that politic restraint. My light spleen skips and shakes my ribs to think on't. Whilst our drifts walk uncensured, but in thought, a whistle or a whisper would be questioned. In the most fortunate angle of the world, Venice, the court hath held the city by the horns whilst I have milked her. I've got good sops, too, from country ladies for their liberties, from some for their most vainly hoped preferments, high offices in the air. I should not live but for this mel aerium, this mirth manna. Ah, my pawn. How now, the news?
I expect none very pleasing that come, sir, of my bringing. I'm for sad things.
Oh, thy conscience is so tender-hoofed of late, every nail pricks it.
This may prick yours too, if there be any quick flesh in a yard on't.
Mine? Mischief must find a deep nail, and a driver beyond the strength of any Machiavel the politics kingdoms fatten, to reach mine. Prithee, compunction, needle pricked a little, unbind this sore wound.
Sir, your plot's discovered.
Which of the 20,900 fourscore and 5 canst tell?
Bless us, so many. How do poor countrymen have but one plot to keep a cow on, yet in law for that? You cannot know 'em all, but sure by their names, sir.
Yes, where their numbers trebled. Thou hast seen a globe stand on the table in my closet?
A thing, sir, full of countries and hard words.
True, with lines drawn, some tropical, some oblique.
I scarce can read. I was brought up in blindness.
Just such a thing, if e'er my skull be opened, will my brains look like.
Like a globe of countries?
Aye, and some master politician that has sharp state eyes will go near to pick out the plots and every climate where they fastened. 'Twill puzzle them, too.
I'm of your mind for that, sir.
They'll find 'em to fall thick upon some countries. They'd need use spectacles. But I turn to you now. What plot is that discovered?
Your last brat, sir, begot twixt the Black Bishop and yourself, your antedated letters about the Jesuit.
Discovered? How?
The White Knight's policy hath outstripped yours. Joined with the assistant counsel of his duke, the White Bishop's pawn undertook the journey, who, as they say, discharged it like a flight. Aye, made him for the business fit and light.
'Tis but a bawdy pawn out of the way. Enough of them in all parts.
You have heard all, then?
Oh, the wonders passed with me, but some shall down for it.
Set free that virtuous pawn from all her wrongs. Let her be brought with honour to the face of her malicious adversaries.
Good.
Noble chaste knight, the title of that canter, the greatest prince on earth without impeachment, may have the dignity of his worth comprised in his fair delivering act. Virtue will register in that white book of the defence of virgins, where the clear fames of all preserving knights are to eternal memory consecrated. And we embrace as partner of that honour this worthy duke, the counsel of the act, whom we shall ever place in our respect.
Most blessed of kings, throned in all royal graces, every good deed sends back its own reward into the bosom of the enterprise. But you, to express yourself as well to be king of munificence as integrity, adds glory to the gift.
Thy desert claims it, zeal and fidelity. Appear thou, beauty of truth and innocency, best ornament of patience, thou that makes thy sufferings glorious.
I'll take no knowledge on't. What makes she here? How dares yon pawn, unpenanced, with a cheek fresh as her falsehood yet, where castigation hath left no pale print of her visiting anguish, appear in this assembly? Let me alone. Sin must be bold, that's all the grace 'tis born to.
What's this?
Assist me, goodness, I shall to prison again.
At least I've mazed them, scattered their admirations of her innocence, as the fired ships put in, severed the fleet in '88. I'll on with it. Impudence is mischief's parsimony. Is this justice? Is injured reverence no sharply arighted? I ever held that majesty impartial that, like most equal heaven, looks on the manners, not on the shapes they shroud in.
This black knight will never take an answer. 'Tis a victory to make him understand he doth amiss, when he knows in his own clear understanding that he doth nothing else. Show him the testimony, confirmed by good men, how that foul attempter got but this morning to the place from whence he dated his forged lines for 10 days past.
Why, may not the corruption sleep in this by some connivance, as you have waked in ours by too rash confidence?
I'll undertake that knight shall teach the devil how to lie.
If sin were half so wise as impudent, she'd never seek further for an advocate.
Now to act treachery with an angel's tongue. Since all's come out, I'll bring him strangely in again. Where is this injured chastity? This goodness whose worth no transitory peace can value, this rock of constant and invincible virtue that made sin's tempt weary of his fury.
What? Is my pawn distracted?
I think rather this is some notable masterpiece of roguery this drum strikes up for.
Let me fall with reverence before this blessed altar.
Oh, this is madness.
Well, mark the end. I stand for roguery still. I will not change my side.
I shall be taxed, I know. I care not what the Black House thinks of me.
What say you now?
I will not be unlaid yet.
However censure flies, I honour sanctity. That is my object, I intend no other. I saw this glorious and most valiant virtue fight the most noblest combat with the devil.
Oh, if both the bishops had been there for seconds, it had been a complete duel.
Then thou heardest the violence intended?
'Tis a truth I joy to justify. I was an agent on virtue's part, and raised that confused noise that startled his attempt, and gave her liberty.
Oh, 'tis a righteous story she hath told, sir. My life and fame stand mutually engaged, both to the truth and goodness of this pawn.
Doth it appear to you yet clear as the sun?
Lass, I believed it long before 'twas done.
Degenerate.
Base.
Perfidious.
Traitorous pawn.
What, are you all beside yourselves?
But I remember that one.
May a fearful barrenness blast both my hopes and pleasures, if I brought not her ruin in my pity, a new trap for her more sure confusion.
Have I won now? Did I not say 'twas craft and machination? I smelt conspiracy all the way it went, although the mess were covered. I'm so used to it.
That queen I would fain finger.
You're too hot, sir. If she were took, the game would be ours quickly. My aim's at that white knight. Entrap him first, the duke will follow too.
I would that bishop were in my diocese, I'd soon change his whiteness.
Sir, I could whip you up a pawn immediately. I know where my game stands.
Dot suddenly, advantage least must not be lost in this play.
Pawn, thou art ours.
Taken by default, by wilful negligence. Guard the sacred persons, look well to the white bishop, for that pawn gave God to the queen and gave him in the third place.
See what sure peace you lock your confidence in. I made this pawn here by corruption ours, as soon as honor by creation yours. This whiteness upon him is but the leprosy of pure dissimulation. View him now. His heart and his intents are of our color.
Dangerous hypocrite!
One made against us.
Is truth of this complexion?
But my goodness, clemency, love, and favour gracious raised thee from a condition next to popular labour, took thee from all the dubitable hazards of fortune, her most unsecure adventures, and grafted thee into a branch of honour. And dost thou fall from the top bough by the rottenness of thine own alone corruption, like a fruit that's over-ripened by the beams of favour? Own weight reward thee. I forgot thee. The integrity of life is so dear to me, where I find falsehood or crying sin, be it in any whom our grace shines most on, I tear them from my heart.
Spoke like heaven's substitute.
You have him. We can spare him. And his shame will make the rest look better to their game.
The more cunning we must use, then.
We shall match you, play how you can, perhaps, and mate you too.
I rest upon you, knight, for my advancement now.
Oh, for the strong staff that will hold, and the red hat fit for the guilty mazard. Ha! Into the empty bag know thy first way. Pawns that are lost are ever out of play.
How's that?
No replications, you know me. No doubt ere long you'll have more company. The bag is big enough, 'twill hold us all.
I sue to thee, prithee, be one of us. Let my love win thee. Thou'st done the truth this day, and yesterday mine honor, noble service. The best pawn of our house could not transcend it.
My pity flamed with zeal, especially when I foresaw your marriage, then it mounted.
How marriage?
A contaminating act would have spoiled all your fortunes, a rape, God bless us.
Thou talk'st of marriage?
Yes, yes, you do marry. I saw the man.
The man?
An absolute handsome gentleman, a complete one. You'll say so when you see him, heir to 3 red hats besides his general hopes in the Black House.
Why, sure thou art much mistaken in this man. I've promised single life to all my affections.
Promise you what you will, or I, or all ons. There's a fate rules and overrules us all, methinks.
Why, how came you to see or know this mystery?
A magical glass I bought of an Egyptian, whose stone retains that speculative virtue presented the man to me. Your name brings him as often as I use it, and methinks I never have enough. Person and postures are also pleasing.
This is wondrous strange. The faculties of soul are still the same. I can feel no one motion tend that way.
We do not always feel the faith we live by, nor ever see our growth, yet both work upward.
'Twas well applied. But may I see him too?
Surely you may, without all doubt or fear, observing the right use, as I was taught it, not looking back, nor questioning the spectre.
That's no hard observation. Trust it with me. Is it possible? I long to see this man.
Pray follow me then, and I'll ease you instantly. This is the room he did appear to me in, and look you, this the magical glass that showed him.
I find no motion yet. What should I think on it? Sudden fear invades me, a faint trembling. Under this omen, as oft felt the panting of a turtle under a stroking hand.
That bodes good luck still. Sign you shall change state speedily, for that trembling is always the first symptom of a bride. For any vainer fears that may accompany his apparition, by my truth to friendship, I quit you of the least. Never was object more gracefully presented. The very air conspires to do him honor, and creates sweet vocal sounds, as if a bridegroom entered, which argues the blessed harmony of your loves.
And will the using of my name produce him?
Nay, of yours only, else the wonder halted. To clear you of that doubt, I'll put the difference in practice. The first thing I do, and make his invocation in the name of others.
'Twill satisfy me much, that.
Shall be done. Thou whose gentle form and face filled lately this Egyptian glass, by the imperious powerful name and the universal flame of the mighty Black House Queen, I conjure thee to be seen. What, see you nothing yet?
Not any part. Pray, try another.
You shall have your will. I double my command and power, and at the instant of this hour invoke thee in the White Queen's name, with stay for time and shape the same. What see you yet?
There's nothing shows at all.
My truth reflects the clearer then. Now fix and bless your fair eye with your own forever. Thou well composed by fate's hand, drawn to enjoy the White Queen's pawn, of whom thou shalt by virtue met many graceful issues get, by the beauty of her fame, by the whiteness of her name, by her fair and fruitful love, by her truth that mates the dove, by the meekness of her mind, by the softness of her kind, by the luster of her grace, by all these thou art summoned to this place. Hark how the air, enchanted with your praises and his approach, those words to sweet notes raises.
Oh, let him stay a while, a little longer.
That's a good hearing.
If he be mine, why should he part so soon?
Why, this is but the shadow of yours. How do you?
Oh, I did ill to give consent to see it. What certainty is in our blood or state? What we still write is blotted out by fate. Our wills are like a cause that is law-tossed. What one court orders is by another crossed.
I find no fit place for this passion here. 'Tis merely an intruder. He's a gentleman most wishfully composed. Honor grows on him, and wealth piled up for him. Has youth enough too, and yet in the sobriety of his countenance, grave as a tetrarch, which is gracious in the eye of modest pleasure. Where's the emptiness? What can you more request?
I do not know what answer yet to make. It doth require a meeting twixt my fear and my desire.
She's caught, and which is strange, by her most wronger.
It's he, my confessor. He might have passed me 7 years together, had I not by chance advanced mine eye upon that lettered hatband, the Jesuitical symbol to be known by, worn by the brave collegians with consent. It is a strange habit for a holy father, a president of poverty especially. We, the sons and daughters of obedience, dare not once think awry, but must confess ourselves as humbly to the father of that feather, long spur and poniard, as to the Alban halter. And happy we're so highly graced to attain to it. Holy and reverent.
Oh, sure. How hast found me out?
Oh, sir, put on the sparklings trim of glory. Affection will shine foremost. And I knew you by the Catholical mark you wear about you, the mark above your forehead.
Are you grown so ambitious in your observance? Or your business, I've my game to follow.
I have a worm follows me so that I can follow no game. The most faint-hearted pawn, if he could see his play, might snap me up at my pleasure. I desire, sir, to be absolved. My conscience being at ease, I could then with more courage ply my game.
'Twas a base fact.
'Twas to a schismatic pawn, sir.
What's that to the nobility of revenge? Suffices, I've neither will nor power to give you absolution for that violence. Make your petition to the penance chamber. If the tax register relieve you, and by the Black Bishop's clemency you have wrought out a singular piece of favour with your money. That's all your refuge now.
The sting shoots deeper.
Yonder's my game, which, like a politic chess master, I must not seem to see.
Oh, my heart, 'tis he.
That 'tis.
The
And how like a most regardless stranger he walks by, merely ignorant of his fate. You are not minded the principal's part of him. What strange mysteries inscrutable love works by.
the time, you see, is not yet come.
But 'tis in our power now to bring time nearer. Knowledge is a mastery, and make it observe for us, and not we it.
I would force nothing from its proper virtue. Let time have his full course. I had rather die the modest death of undiscovered love than have heaven's least and lowest servant suffer, or in his motion receive check, for me. How is my soul's growth altered? That single life, that fittest garment that peace ever made for it, is grown too straight, too stubborn on the sudden.
He comes this way again.
Oh, there's the traitor leapt from my heart into my cheek already. That will betray it all to his powerful eye, if it but glance upon me.
By my verity, look, he's passed by again, drowned in neglect, without the prosperous hint of so much happiness to look upon his fortune. How close fate seals up the eye of human understanding, till, like the sun's flower, time and love unclose it. 'Twere pity he should dwell in ignorance longer.
What will you do?
Yes, die a bashful death, do, and let the remedy pass by unused still. You're changed enough already, if you look into it. Absolute sir, with your most noble pardon for this my rude intrusion, I am bold to bring the knowledge of a secret nearer by many days, sir, than it would arrive in its own proper revelation with you. Pray, turn and fix, do you know yon noble goodness?
'Tis the first minute mine eye blessed me with her, and clearly shows how much my knowledge wanted, not knowing her till now.
She's to be liked, then? Pray, view advisedly. There is strong reason that I'm so bold to urge it. You must guess the work concerns you nearer than you think for.
Her glory and the wonder of this secret puts a reciprocal amazement on me.
Tis not without worth. You two must be better acquainted.
Is there cause, affinity, or any courteous help creation joys in to bring that forward?
Yes. Yes, I can show you the nearest way to that perfection of a most virtuous one that joy e'er found. Pray mark her once again, then follow me, and I will show you her must be your wife, sir.
The mystery extends, or else creation hath set that admirable piece before us to choose our chaste delights by.
Please you follow, sir.
What art have you to put me on an object, and cannot get me off? 'Tis pain to part from't.
If there prove no check in that magical glass now, but my proportion come as fair and full into his eye as his into mine lately, then I am confirmed he is mine own forever.
The very self-same that the mirror blessed me with. From head to foot, the beauty and the habit. Kept you this place still, did you not remove, lady?
Not a foot further, sir.
Is possible. I would have sworn I'd seen the substance yonder. Was to that lustre, to that life presented.
Even so was yours to me, sir.
Saw you mine?
Perfectly clear. No sooner my name but yours appeared.
Yes, so did yours at mine now.
Why stand you idle? Will you time, cousin, you protracting time of those delicious benefits that faith hath marked you to? You modest pair of blushing gamesters, and you, sir, the bashfulest. I cannot flatter a foul fault in any. Can you be more than man and wife assigned, and by a power the most irrevocable? Others that be adventurers in delight may meet with crosses, shame, or separation. You know the mind of fate. You must be coupled.
She speaks but truth in this. I see no reason then that we should miss the relish of this night, but that we are both shamefaced.
How, this night, sir? Did not I know you must be mine, and therein your privilege runs strong, for that the loose motion you never should be. Is it not my fortune to match with a pure mind? Then I am miserable. The doves and all chaste loving winged creatures have their parts fit, their desires justly mated. Is the woman more unfortunate, a virgin, the maid of a woman? Fate that hath ordained, sir, we should be man and wife, hath not given warrant for any act of knowledge till we are so.
Tender-eyed modesty, how it grieves at this! I'm as far off for all this strange imposture as at first interview. Where lies our game now? You know I cannot marry by mine order.
I know you cannot, sir, yet you may venture upon a contract. Surely you may, sir. Without all question, so far without danger or any stain to your vow, and that may take her. Nay, do it with speed. She'll think you mean the better too.
Not so lavish of that blessed spring. You've wasted that upon a cold occasion now, would wash a sinful soul white. By our love joys, that motion shall ne'er light upon my tongue more till we're contracted. Then I hope you are mine.
In all just duty ever.
Then, do you question it? Pish! Then you're man and wife, all but church ceremony. Pray, let's see that done first. She shall do reason then. Now I'll enjoy the sport, and cozen you both. My blood's game is the wages I have worked for.
Pawn, I've spoke to the Black Bishop for thee. I'll get the absolution from his own mouth. Reach me my chair of ease, my chair of cozenage. 7,000 pounds in women. Reach me that. Ah, I love a life to sit upon a bank of heretic gold. Ooh, soft and gently, sirrah. There's a foul flaw in the bottom of my drum, pawn. I ne'er shall make sound soldier, but sound trencher with any he in Europe. How now, qualm? Thou hast the pukingest soul that e'er I met with. It cannot bear one suckling villainy. Mine can digest a monster without crudity, a sin as weighty as an elephant, and never wamble for it.
Ah, you've been used to it, sir. That's a great help. The swallow of my conscience hath but a narrow passage. You must not think yet it lies in the penitent pipe and will not down. If I had got £7,000 by offices and gulled down that, The ball would have been bigger.
Nay, if thou provest facetious, I shall hug thee. Can a soft rear, poor poached iniquity, so ride upon thy conscience? I am ashamed of thee. Hadst thou betrayed the White House to the black, beggared a kingdom by dissimulation, unjointed the fair frame of peace and traffic, poisoned allegiance, set faith back, and wrought women's soft souls, even up to masculine malice, to pursue truth to death if the cause roused them, that stares and parrots are first taught to curse thee.
Ay, marry, sir, here's swapping sins indeed.
All these, and 10 times trebled, hath this brain been parroting to. They are my offsprings all.
A goodly brood.
Yet I can jest as lightly, laugh, and tell stirring stories to court madams, daughters of my seducement, with alacrity as high and hearty as youth's time of innocence, that never knew a sin to shape a sorrow by. I feel no tempest, not a leaf wind stirring to shake a fault. My conscience is becalmed, rather.
I'm sure there is a whirlwind huffs in mine, sir.
Sirrah, I've sold the groom of the stole 6 times, and received money of 6 several ladies ambitious to take place of baronets' wives. To 3 old mummy matrons I have promised the mothership of the maids. I've taught our friends, too, to convey White House gold to our Black Kingdom in cold-baked pasties, and so cousin searchers. For venting hallowed oil, beads, medals, pardons, pictures, Veronica's heads in private presses, that's done by one in the habit of a peddler. Letters conveyed in rolls, tobacco balls. When a restraint comes by my politic counsel, some of our Jesuits turn gentlemen ushers, some falconers, some park keepers, and some huntsmen. One took the shape of an old lady's cook once and dispatched 2 chairs on a Sunday morning, the altar and the dresser. Pray, what use put I my summer recreation to, but more to inform my knowledge in the state and strength of the White Kingdom? No fortification, haven, creek, landing place about the White Coast, but I got draft and platform, learned the depth of all their channels, knowledge of all sands, shelves, rocks, and rivers, for invasion properest, a catalogue of all the navy royal, the burthen of each ship, the brassy murderers, the number of the men, to what cape bound. Again, for the discovery of the islands, never a shire but the state better known to me than to her breast inhabitants. What power of men and horse, gentry's revenues, who well affected to our side, who ill, who neither well nor ill, the neutrality. 38,000 souls have been seduced, pawn, since the jails vomited with the pill I gave 'em.
Sure, you put oil of toad into that physic, sir.
I'm now about a masterpiece of play to entrap the White Knight, and with false allurements to entice him to the Black House. More will follow. Whilst our Black Bishop sets upon the Queen, then will our game lie sweetly.
He's come now, sir.
Here's Taxa Pimentaria. Knight, the Book of General Pardons. Of all prices, I have been searching for his sin this half hour, and cannot light upon it.
That's strange. Let me see it.
Wretch that I am, hath my rage done that there is no precedent of pardon for?
For wilful murder, £13 4 shillings and 6pence. That's reasonable cheap. For killing Catholics who stood for us and who, for such there were indifferent or against us. Killing. Why, here's nothing but killing, Bishop, on this side.
Turn the sheet o'er, and you shall find adultery and other trivial sins.
Adultery, I'm in it now. For adultery, a couple of shillings, and for fornication, 5pence. Mass, those are 2 good pennyworths. I cannot see how a man can mend himself. For lying with mother, sister, or daughter, I marry, sir, £33, 3 shillings, and 3 threepence. The sins gradation right, paid all in threes, too.
You've read the story of that monster, sir, that got his daughter, sister, and his wife of his own mother?
Simony, £9.
They may thank me for that. It was 19 before I came. I've mitigated many of the sums.
Sodomy, 6pence. You should put that sum ever on the back side of your book, Bishop.
There's very few honest forward, sir.
What's here, sir? 2 old precedents of encouragement.
Aye, those are ancient notes.
Given as a gratuity for the killing of a heretical prince with a poisoned knife. Ducats 5,000.
True, sir, that was paid.
Promised also to Dr. Lopez for poisoning the maiden queen of the White Kingdom, ducats 20,000, which said sum was afterwards given as a meritorious alms to the nunnery at Lisbon, having at this present £10,000 more at use in the town house at Antwerp.
What's all this to my conscience, worthy holiness? I sue for pardon. I brought money with me.
You must depart. You see, there's no precedent or of any prize or pardon for your fact.
Oh, most miserable. Are fouler sins remitted? Killing, nay, wilful murder?
True, there's instance were you to kill him, I would pardon you. There's precedent for that and price set down, but none for gelding.
Without understanding now, forever out of that cabalistic bloody riddle. I'll make away all my estate and kill him, and by that act obtain full absolution.
Why, Bishop Knight, where's your removes, your traps? Stand you now idle in the heat of game?
My life for yours, Black Sovereign, the game's ours. I have wrought underhand for the White Knight and his brave Duke, and find 'em coming, both.
Then for their sanctimonious queen's surprisal, sir, in that state puzzle and distracted hurry, trust my arch subtlety.
Oh, eagle pride! Never was game more hopeful of our side.
If Bishop Bullbeef be not snapped next bout as the men stand, I'll never trust art more.
Dumbshell, recorders, enter Black Queen's pawn and a taper in her hand. She conducts White Queen's pawn in her knight attire into one chamber, and then conveys Black Bishop's pawn in his knight habit into another chamber, and putting out the light, follows him.
True, noble Duke, fair virtue's most endeared one, let us present their rank insinuation with truth of cause and courage, meet their plots with confident goodness that shall strike 'em grovelling.
Sir, all the gins, traps, and alluring snares the devil hath been at work since 88 on are laid for the hope of this game only.
Why, the more noble will truth triumph be, when they have won out our constant courages, the glittering serpent that e'er falsehood fashioned, and glorying most of his resplendent poisons, just heaven can find a bolt to bruise his head.
Look, would you see distraction lie a sunning? In yonder smile sits blood and treachery basking, in that perfidious model of face falsehood. Hell is drawn grinning.
What a pain it is for truth to feign a little.
Oh, fair knight, the rising glory of the house of Candor. Have I so many protestations lost, quite lost? Am I not worth your confidence? I, that have vowed the faculties of soul, life, spirit, and brain to your sweet game of youth, your noble, fruitful game. Can you mistrust any foul play in me, that have been ever the most submissive observer of your virtues, and no way tainted with ambition, save only to be thought your first admirer? How often have I changed for your delight the royal presentation of my place into a mimic jester, and become, for your sake and the expulsion of sad thoughts, of a grave state sire, a light son of pastime, made 80 years a tomboy, a mere wanton. I'll tell you what I said to a Savoy dame once. New wed, high plump and lusting for an issue. Within the year, I promised her a child if she could stride over St. Rombaut's breeches, a relic kept at Mechlin. The next morning, one of my followers' old hose was conveyed into her chamber, where she tried the feat. By that, and a court friend, after grew great.
Why, who could be without thee?
I will change into any shape to please you, and my aim hath been to win your love in all this game.
Thou hast it nobly, and we long to see the Black House pleasure, state, and dignity.
Of honour you'll so surfeit and delight, you'll ne'er desire again to see the white.
My love, my hope, my dearest, all is gone. Ensnared, entrapped, surprised amongst the black ones. I never felt extremity like this. Thick darkness dwells upon this hour, integrity, like one of heaven's bright luminaries now, by error's dullest element interposed, suffers a black eclipse. I never was more sick of love than now I am of horror. I shall be taken. The game's lost. I'm set upon. The bishop of the Black House, having watched the advantage of his play, comes now to seize on me. Oh, I am hard beset, distressed most miserably.
'Tis vain to stir. Remove which way you can. I take you now. This is the time we've hoped for. Queen, you must down.
No rescue, no deliverance?
The Black King's blood burns for thy prostitution, and nothing but the spring of thy chaste virtue can cool his inflammation. Instantly. He dies upon a pleurisy of luxury if he deflower thee not.
Oh, strait of misery.
Is your holiness his divine procurer?
Devil's in it, and taken by a ringdove. Where stood this bishop that I saw him not?
Oh, you were so ambitious you looked o'er me. You aimed at no less person than the queen, the glory of the game. If she were won, the way were open to the master check. Which look you, he and his lives to give you, honour and virtue guide him in his station.
Oh, my safe sanctuary.
Let heaven's blessing be mine no longer than I am thy sure one. The dove's house is not safer in the rock than thou in my firm bosom.
I'm blessed in it.
Is it that lump of rank ingratitude, swelled with the poison of hypocrisy? Could he be so malicious, as partaken of the sweet, fertile blessings of our kingdom? Bishop, thou hast done our White House gracious service, and worthy the fair reverence of thy place. For thee, black holiness, that work'st out thy death as the blind mole, the proper son of earth, who, in the casting of his ambitious hills up, is often taken and destroyed in the midst of his advanced work. 'Twere well with thee, if, like that verminous labourer, which thou imitatest in hills of pride and malice, when death puts thee up, the silent grave might prove thy bag for ever. A deeper pit than that, for thy vain hope of the White Knight and his most firm assistant, two princely beasts, which I know thy thoughts give lost for ever now. My strong assurance of their fixed virtues, could you let in seas of populous untruths against that thought, would burst the proudest billows.
Oh, my fear's past then.
Fear? You were never guilty of an injury to goodness, but in that.
It stayed not with me, sir.
It was too much of it usurped a thought. Place a strong guard there.
Confidence is set, sir.
Take that prize hence. Go, reverend of men, put covetousness into the bag again.
Hold, hold. Is the black...
And hold, don't worry, we're skipping straight to the Latin oration.
Oh, okay, where is it? Okay.
Diquit mortalibus, unquam oculis hilare me gratum aperuidie. Siquit per amantibus, amicorum animis gaudium atulit peperito laetitiam. Eques candidissime, praluentissime, felicem profecto tuum. Ad domo candoris, ad domum nigritudinis, accessum promississe, peperisse, hatulisse, fatemur. Omnes aventus tui, conflagrantissimi, omniqua possumus laetitia, gaudio, congratulatione, acclamatione, animis, observantissimis, affectibus, devotissimis, obsequis, venerabundis, te sospitem, congratulamus.
Sir, in this short congratulatory speech, you may conceive how the whole house affects you.
The colleges and sanctimonious seed plots.
Is clear and so acknowledged, royal sir.
What honors, pleasures, rarities, delights your noble thought can think.
Your fair eye fixed on, that's comprehended in the spacious circuit of our black kingdom. They're your servants all.
They are
How
favors
amply you endear us.
they are favors that equally enrich the royal giver as the receiver in the free donation.
Hark! To enlarge your welcome, from all parts is heard sweet-sounding airs, abstruse things open of voluntary freeness, and yon altar, the seat of adoration, seems to adore the virtues you bring with you.
There's a taste of the old vessel still.
The erroneous relish.
Wonder works some strange delight. This place was never yet without. To welcome the fair White House night, and to bring our hopes about. May from the altar flames aspire, those tapers set themselves on fire. May senseless things our joys approve, on those brazen statues move, quickened by some power above. For what more strange to show our love?
A happy omen waits upon this hour. All move portentously the right-hand way.
Come, let's set free all the most choice delights that ever adorned days or quickened nights.
I see 'twas but a trial of my duty now. As a more modest mind, and in that virtue most worthily hath fate provided for me. Ah, 'tis the bad man in the reverend habit. Dares he be seen again? Traitor to holiness, O marble-fronted impudence, and knows how ill hath used me? I'm ashamed he blushes not.
Are you yet stored with any woman's pity? Are you the mistress of so much devotion, kindness, and charity as to bestow an alms of love on your poor sufferer, yet for your sake only?
Sir, for the reverend respect you ought to give to sanctity, though none to me, in being her servant vowed and wear her livery, if I might counsel, you should never speak the language of unchasteness in that habit. You would not think how ill it doth with you. The world's a stage on which all parts are played. You'd think it most absurd to see a devil presented there not in a devil's shape, or wanting one to send him out in yours, but rail at that for an absurdity, no college e'er committed. For decorum's sake, then, for pity's cause, for sacred virtue's honor, if you'll persist still in your devil's part, present him as you should do, and let one that carries up the goodness of the play come in that habit, and I'll speak with him. Then will the parts be fitted, and the spectators know which is which. They must have cunning judgments to find it else, for such a one as you is able to deceive a mighty audience. Nay, those that you have seduced, if there be any in the assembly, when they see what manner you play your game with me, they cannot love you. Is there so little hope of you to smile, sir?
Yes, at your fears, at ignorance of your power, the little use you make of time, youth, fortune, knowing you have a husband, for lust shelter, you dare not yet make bold with a friend's comfort. This is the plague of weakness.
So hot burning, the syllables of sin fly from his lips as if the letter came new cast from hell.
Well, setting by the dish you loathe so much, which hath been heartily tasted by your betters, I come to marry you to the gentleman that last enjoyed you. I hope that pleases you. There is no immodest relish in that office.
Strange, of all men he should first light upon him to tie that holy knot that sought to undo me. Were you requested to perform that business, sir?
I name you a sure token.
As for that, sir, now you're most welcome, and my fair hopes of you, you'll never break the sacred knot you tie once with any lewd soliciting hereafter.
It's all the crafts in getting of it knit. You're all on fire to make your cousining market. I am the marrier. And the man. Do you know me? Do you know me? Nice iniquities, strict luxury, and holy whoredom that would clap on marriage with all hot speed to solder up your game. See what a scourge fate hath provided for thee. You were a maid. Swear still you're no worse now. I left you as I found you. Have I startled you? I'm quit with you now for my discovery, your outcries and your cunning. Farewell, brokage.
Nay, stay, and hear me but give thanks a little. If your ear can endure a work so gracious, then you may take your pleasure.
I have done that.
That power that hath preserved me from this devil,
How?
that may challenge the chief chair in hell and sit above his master,
Bring in merit.
that sufferest him through blind lust to be led last night to the action of some common bed.
Not over common either.
What voice is that?
Of virgins be thou ever honored. Now you may go. You hear I've given thanks, sir.
Here's a strange game. Did not I lie with you?
No.
What the devil art thou?
I will not answer you, sir, after Thanksgiving.
Why, you made promise to me after the contract.
Yes.
Mischief confound thee, I speak not to thee. And you were prepared for it and set your joys more high.
Than you could reach, sir.
This is some bawdy porn I'll slit the throat on't.
What, offer violence to your bedfellow? To one that works so kindly without rape?
My bedfellow?
Do you plant your scorn against me? Why, when I was a probationer at Brussels, that engine was not known then. Adoration filled up the place, and wonder was in fashion. Is turned to the wild seed of contempt so soon. Can 5 years stamp a bawd? Pray, look upon me, sir, I've youth enough to take it. 'Tis no longer since you were chief agent for the transportation of ladies' daughters, if you be remembered. Some of their portions I could name, who pursed them too. They were soon dispossessed of worldly cares that came into your fingers.
Shall I hear her?
Holy derision, yes, till thy ears swell with thine own venom, thy profane life's vomit. Whose niece was she you poisoned with child? Twice, and gave her out possessed with a foul spirit, when 'twas indeed your bastard.
I am taken in mine own toils.
Yes, and it's just you should be.
And thou, lewd pawn, the shame of womanhood.
I'm lost of all hands.
And I cannot feel the weight of my perdition now he is taken, hath not the burden of a grasshopper.
Thou whore of order! Cockatrice in voto!
Yon's the white bishop's pawn. I'll play its heart now.
How now, black villain? Wouldst thou heap a murder on thy first foul offence? O merciless bloodhound, 'tis time that thou wert taken.
Death prevented.
For thy sake and that partner in thy shame, I'll never know man farther than by name.
You have enriched my knowledge, royal sir, and my content together.
Stead of riot, we set you only welcome is a thing that's seldom heard of in these parts.
I hear of the more virtue than I miss.
We do not use to bury in our bellies 200,000 ducats and then boast on't, or exercise the old Roman painful idleness with care of fetching fishes far from home, the golden-headed coracine out of Egypt, the salper from Ebusus, or the pelamis, which some call summer whiting, from Chalcedon, salmons from Aquitaine, helops from Rhodes, cockles from Chios, franked and fatted up with far and sapa, flour and concocted wine. We cram no birds, nor Epicurean-like, and close some creeks of the sea, as Sergius Orata did, he that invented the first stews for oysters and other sea fish, who, besides the pleasure of his own throat, got large revenues by the invention, whose fat example the nobility followed. Nor do we imitate that arch gormandizer with 22 courses at one dinner, and betwixt every course he and his guests washed and used women, then sat down and strengthened, lust swimming in their dishes, which no sooner was tasted but was ready to be vented.
Most impious epicures.
We commend rather, of two extremes, the parsimony of Pertinax, who had half lettuces set up to serve again, or his successor Julian, that would make 3 meals of a lean hare, and often sup with a green fig, and wipe his beard as we can. The old bewailers of excess in those days complained there was more coin bid for a cook than for a war horse. But now cooks are purchased after the rate of triumphs, and some dishes after the rate of cooks, which must needs make some of your White House gormandizers, especially your wealthy plump plebeians, like the hogs which Scaliger cites that could not move for fat, so insensible of either prick or goad, that mice made holes to needle in their buttocks, and they ne'er felt 'em. Oh, there was once a ruler, Cyrene his governor, choked with his own paunch, which death fat Sanctus, king of Castile, fearing, through his infinite massive belly, rather chose to be killed suddenly by a pernicious herb taken to make him lean, which old Cordoba, king of Morocco, counselled his fear to, than he would hazard to be stunk to death, as that huge cormorant that was choked before him.
Well, you're as sound a spokesman, sir, for parsimony, clean abstinence, and scarce 1 meal a day as ever spake with tongue.
Censure him mildly, sir, 'twas but to find discourse.
He'll raise it of anything.
I shall be half afraid to feed hereafter.
Or I beshrew my heart, for I fear fatness, the fog of fatness, as I fear a dragon. The comeliness I wish for, that's as glorious.
Your course is wondrous strict. I should transgress, sure, were I to change my side, as you've much wrought me.
Oh, how you misprise! This is not meant to you, word. You that are wound up to the height of feeding by clime and custom are dispensed withal. You may eat kid, cabrito, calf, and tons. Eat and eat every day, twice if you please. Nay, the franked hen fatted with milk and corn, a riot which the inhabitants of Delos were first inventors of, or the crammed cockle.
Well, For the food I am happily resolved, but for the diet of my disposition there comes a trouble. You will hardly find food to please that.
Oh, it must be a strange nature we cannot find a dish for, having policy, the master cook of Christendom, to dress it. Pray, name your nature's diet.
The first mess is hot ambition.
That's but served in puff paste. Alas, the meanest of our cardinal's cooks can dress that dinner. Your ambition, sir, can fetch no further compass than the world.
That's certain, sir.
We're about that already. And in the large feast of our vast ambition, we count but the white kingdom whence you come from, the garden for our cook to pick his salads. The food's lean France, larded with Germany, before which comes the grave chaste signory of Venice, served in capon-like in white broth, from our chief oven, Italy, the bake meats, Savoy, the salt, Geneva, the chipped manchet. Below the salt, the Netherlands are placed, a common dish at lower end of the table for meaner pride to fall to. For our second course, a spit of Portugals served in for plovers, Indians and Moors for blackbirds. All this while, Holland stands ready smelted to make sauce on all occasions when the voider comes, and with such cheer our full hopes will suffice. Zealand says grace for fashion, then we rise.
Here's meat enough in conscience for ambition.
If there be any want, there's Switzerland, Polonia, and such pickled things will serve to furnish out the table.
You say well, sir, but here's the mystery. I tell you in private.
Oh, we're your cabinets.
When I have stopped the mouth on one vice, there's another gapes for food. I am as covetous as a barren womb, the grave, or what's more ravenous.
We're for you, sir. Call you that heinous that's good husbandry? Why, we make money of our faith, our prayers. We make the very deathbed buy her comforts, most dearly pay for all her pious counsels, leave rich revenues for a few weak orisons, or else they pass unreconciled without him. Did you but view the vaults within our monasteries, you'd swear then Plutus, whom the fiction calls the Lord of Riches, were entombed there.
Is it possible?
You cannot walk for tons.
But how shall I bestow the vice I bring, sirs? You quite forget me. I shall be shut out by your strict key of life.
Is yours so viled, sir?
Some that are pleased to make a wanton on it call it infirmity of blood, flesh frailty. But certain there's a worse name in your books for it.
Oh, the trifle of all vices, the mere innocent, the very novice of this house of clay, venery. If I but hug thee hard, I show the worst on't. 'Tis all the fruit we have here after supper. Nay, at the ruins of a nunnery once, 6,000 infants' heads found in a fish pond.
How?
Aye, how came they thither, think you? Uldrich, Bishop of Augsburg, in his epistle to Nicholas I, can tell you how. Maybe he was at cleansing of the pond. I can but smile to think how it would puzzle all mother maids that ever lived in these parts to know their own child's head. But is this all?
Are you ours yet?
One more, and I'm silenced. But this that comes now will divide us questionless. 'Tis 10 times worse than the forerunners.
Is it so vile that there's no name ordained for it? Toads have their titles, and creation gave serpents and adders those names to be known by.
This of all others bears the hiddenest venom, the smoothest poison. I'm an arch dissembler, sir.
How?
'Tis my nature's brand. Turn from me, sir. The time is yet to come that ere I spoke with my heart meant.
And call you that a vice? Avoid all profanation, I beseech you. The only prime state virtue upon earth, the policy of empires. Oh, take heed, sir, for fear it take displeasure and forsake you. 'Tis like a jewel, of that precious value whose worth's not known but to the skillful lapidary, the instrument that plucks ope princes' hearts and locks up ours from them with the same motion. You never came so near our souls as now.
Now you're a brother to us.
What we have done hath been dissemblance ever.
There you lie then, and the game's ours. We gave thee checkmate by Discovery King, the noblest mate of all.
I'm lost. I'm taken.
Yay!
Ambitious, covetous, luxurious falsehood.
Dissembler includes all.
All hopes confounded.
Miserable condition.
Oh, let me bless mine arms with this dear treasure, truth's glorious masterpiece. See, queen of sweetness, he's in my bosom safe, and this fair structure of comely honour, his true blessed assistant.
May their integrities ever possess that powerful sanctuary.
'Twas a game, sir, won with much hazard, so with much more triumph we gave him checkmate by discovery, sir.
Obscurity is now the fittest favour falsehood can sue for. It well suits perdition. 'Tis their best course that have so lost their fame to put their heads into the bag for shame.
And thus closes this mostly earlier iteration of the play. There are some compromises we made for various pragmatic reasons you don't need to know about, but that gives us a general shape of what Middleton had initially drafted earlier in the process. And of course, from our point of view, we're sitting there going, oh, but what about the scene that we like, or that bit that we didn't do? But actually, and I was seriously expecting to miss the Hellmouth at the end there, but actually, and I was thinking this is going to feel terribly rushed and awful, but actually I kind of found that was fine. It was, I entirely understand why you want to expand the ending a bit there, but actually I didn't miss it as much as I expected I would, but others may disagree. It was kept a good time as well, which was very pleasing. We have a little bit of time for some chat. Anyone who has thoughts about this? I say very rough. Some of the joins don't quite make sense. There is clearly a scene where the Black Knight needs something to cover for his exit and then immediate re-entrance. So you can see that Middleton's working on moving it forward. But of course, no Fat Bishop in this iteration, except for all the stuff that the Fat Bishop steals from the Black Bishop. So possibly one of our favourite Fat Bishop scenes is still here. It's just not done by the Fat Bishop. Aliki.
Something that really struck me this time round is how much it's a play about crime or sin and punishment or absolution or failure thereof.
Yeah. Other thoughts from the room for those who've been here before, and also those who have only joined us. I say only just joined us. Roel has been rehearsing with us separately for the show on Sunday. But yeah, Roel, this is perhaps your first chance to actually see the play in motion. Any thoughts you want to throw in there?
Yeah, it was great to actually see the whole thing fit together, and yeah, obviously because I've worked so much with the script that had some bits omitted in this version. I think I agree that there's quite a few that I didn't miss so much, particularly towards the end. I will say I do miss the Fat Bishop's turncoating. But yeah, having the whole through journey for the Black Bishop's pawn as well. My Activision is just very satisfied that just how much he fails at every attempt at everything, and he does actually get done in quite firmly. He really, this time for some reason I really heard the Black Queen's Pawn. I don't think that we've really managed to go over that properly in rehearsals yet, but like the Black Queen's Pawn saying like, I planned all of this to get you for what you did back then, and actually hearing it kind of go like, oh shit, all my bad actions really have caught up with me. Fuck. So yeah, that was nice to experience, which really does feel like an appropriate conclusion to his character, which makes it feel very advanced for its time, considering that it's doing some of those themes eventually better than many plays from 40 years ago.
Other thoughts in the room? I say that the variations. I mean, this is where also our next step for the readings is that we're going to be taking some scenes or some through lines in isolation, and also we're going to be working on slightly different cuts from this point onwards. The aim is now to try and keep a cut to actually slightly less than what we did today, but play around with what material we might keep in, what we might take out. So there is now a sort of curatorial process to where we go forward over the next few sessions online, also taking into account what we do live as well. So we've got our live recording, but also we're still doing, this is still a process of looking towards doing a staged version of this, of actually what is our best text that we want to keep. And obviously some of the issues that need to be addressed there are actually just, you know, what the play is saying and how do we make a production say that to a general audience. We're able to present it relatively as it is because we can really curate who our audience is and they know exactly what they're getting before they come in. Whereas I don't think you can quite present this play to a general audience without some problems, because it's doing some very odd things and some problematic things as well that I don't think we could put in without some framing. So that's one of our questions going forward as to what we keep. The advantage of cutting the fat bishop that this iteration has is it just removes the basic problem that the fat bishop is basically, hey, he's a fat guy and let's laugh at him for being fat. And that's actually, and actually is there, you know, well, can we keep the elements that are interesting about his character? Can we move them, say, over to the black bishop? Because in the sense that already has happened in this iteration, can we keep the good without throwing out and throw out the bad? And that's, we may not be able to keep everything we like. Certainly, I'm one of the cuts I'm looking at cutting back on a lot of what the Black Knight is saying. I think a lot of that is excessive. I think you know, and there's a question of how much we need to keep, and some of it is really obscure. But we don't want to lose how good the Black Knight is as a character in that process. So that all that is up in the air, and that's something I'm just sort of throwing out there to everyone, readers who will still be with us, as to start noting what you want to keep and what you think might want to get chucked out. Alan.
Yeah, I must admit, I was paying a bit more attention on the induction today than I have with the previous looks at it. And I'm not quite sure that all of that is needed. And I think the other thing is that you could usefully double Loyola and the Black Bishop, because they're effectively the same person.
Well, there is a theory that he was doubled with the Black Knight, in the sense that they have a similar voice, and that was a potential double. I absolutely agree that a lot of Loyola's stuff is obscure. However, I think there's an opportunity of keeping Loyola and Era as potentially writing additional commentary throughout the play, that they're there playing the game, and that then gives us some remove that we can actually play with what the play is doing within the play. And so there I'm seeing a much more active dramaturgical intervention, whereas the rest I'm sort of just looking about, what do we cut, what do we keep? But actually saying, okay, we can actually expand those roles and give them something else and a slightly different perspective, and that defuses some of the time bombs that live in this play, and that might be an option. But I absolutely agree. There's a lot there that I think in the next iteration is a bit shorter in my current cut. People can lobby for bits they want to keep and take out as we go through next week. Basically, I'm going to present a different text each day based on what people say. Eric.
What I found interesting was that with the Fat Bishop's absence and the absence of that scene with the black jesting pawn, you don't lose any humor. I mean, there's a lot of humor in this play that sort of, you know, mainly delivered by the Black Knight going, oh yeah, isn't that funny? I've got all these plots. Yeah, sort of buy one, get one free. But it kind of, it's still funny and shady at the same time, which is kind of what you want, really, because it keeps you watching, like, sort of, because you don't want the white pawn to sort of, white queen's pawn to get, well, assaulted, but also you kind of don't know how that will work out. I did not remember how that evolves at all. So it was kind of like a nice surprise Betrick. But yeah.
Yeah, and that's the absence of that scene. I mean, I love the jesting porn scene. I think it's fabulous. But does that's I mean, you have to slightly tweak the way the line is written there to make that scene flow into the next. But I kind of like it just gets on with the plot, and you kind of don't need it. It still creates the problem of where the hell do you put an interval without doing a more radically different version of the play, which is another thing I've got in mind for the future. Lois.
Yeah, I thought your idea of keeping Loyola and Era there as commentators is a very good one. I mean, they can actually explain allusions that are too clever not to keep in, but that most people aren't going to get. And I kept thinking that they really ought to come in at the end some way or other. I mean, it's just when you introduce people at the beginning and create a framework, you sort of expect that the frame will be closed up at some point.
Mm.
Yeah,
they're in charge of the bag. I feel they should be in charge of the bag.
Yeah, that would be good. And so they can actually open it up for the people, the few characters who go in there earlier. Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, so having heard the reading with the fuller text and then this one, I did like that fat bishop. I mean, I really missed him in this version. He just lends, I don't know, the comic nature of villainy somehow. I think that because actually some of what the Black Knight says is horrible. That bit about, I mean, it reminded me of what we'd heard about graveyards and Irish convents or schools or something with all those dead children buried there. I mean, there was that awful line about that. Some of that is really terrible. I was also struck that, I mean, what hit me this time about the White Queen's Pawn story, I'm not surprised that she ends up saying she never wants to get married, but it really is quite horrible. I mean, it ends quite satisfactorily in that the guy gets his comeuppance, but from her point of view, discovering that the lovely, perfect man she thought she was marrying and the horrible, vicious rapist that attacked her are in fact the same person. I mean, this is like it's a just total destruction of. I think it could drive somebody mad, actually.
Yeah, I mean, if you were doing the play in a different mood, it would be a horror story, really. It would, it's gaslighting and all sorts of horrible things happening to this one individual, and you can understand why perhaps we have the epilogue is written for the White Queen's Pawn at the end to sort of give her a sort of final moment as well, because again she's sort of diminished in that final scene that she's in as it is, because it's like suddenly the other plot happens. I'll go to Eric then Rachel, and we must close relatively soon.
Well, to add to Lois's point, because you've got the sort of that whole overarching White Queen's Pawn thing, it kind of it ties up nicely because the Black Bishop's pawn appears so perfect to her at that point in the story. It's that sort of it's like the sort of reverse female beauty is fatal kind of thing. It's like that trope, but the opposite, or like gendered differently, I guess. Which is a nice change considering, but kind of, I mean, considering, women beware women and all those other plays that exist out there. Yeah, I think it's an interesting element to the story as
well. Rachel.
I was just going to put in a plea for the White Queen's Pawn's final speech, because I was sort of looking for that and missed it. I was waiting for it and it wasn't there in this version, but that's it.
Yes, I mean, I quite like the sort of I was surprised how much I liked the abruptness of the ending of this version, but I think it is possibly too abrupt, and we can definitely reintroduce some of those other elements going forward. Anyway, Roel, very briefly.
Regarding the tidy up at the end, what was the reason for taking out the scene of like watching the pieces in the bag?
It's not that there wasn't a decision to take it out. It wasn't there originally. So this is the earliest form, or an approximation of the earliest form of the text. So they hadn't decided to put it into the play yet. You can
Right.
see that perhaps they were thinking about, okay, the ending's not quite the way the manuscript is laid, that, yeah, there's room to add something here. And then presumably they had a conversation with William Rowley and he said, could I have a part? I know this play, in my head, it's like, it's actually, this was the play which was supposed to be Rowley's day off. Sharers don't always come in and do every show. And that he just went, no, sorry, I'm in on this one. Write me a part now. You know the kind of stuff I like. I can do a fat man gig, and that's where the Fat Bishop, and they steal some stuff from the Black Bishop and moves it over to because in a sense, actually, if you're sort of trying to figure out a through line for the Fat Bishop when you're looking at the longer version, that scene with the Black Knight and the thing doesn't quite make sense, actually, because they're really collegiate and they're working together, and it's just slightly off because it's not written for him. That character, it's been stolen with no changes, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, that makes sense. I will say that the Fat Bishop strikes me out. Like, obviously, there's a sleuth of jokes about his physique, but like I do also feel specifically in the bag scene for some reason that the Fat Bishop kind of like very happily owns it. That he's just very like, yes, I need this much room. And then the king comes like, no, I need this much room, and then the queen comes like, no, you may pass. Like I like how the Fat Bishop seems very comfortable with who he is and what he is, and I do enjoy his arc. So yeah, I suppose this is me making a gentle plea for the Fat Bishop to remain.
In my more radical re-edit of this, where I do move scenes around and plot lines, I redistribute characters to different plot lines. I have my cake and eating it scenario for the Fat Bishop, which probably won't work, but I have a thought that might retain most of his material, but not necessarily his name, which is half the problem actually, and just slip away some of the more harder edges. Anyway, I'd love to chat for more. We will have more opportunities in rehearsal and in the Zoom room going forward. Next session will all be down to Eric, who will be taking the reins from me, and with a considerably more cut down version of the play. All that remains, however, is to thank all these wonderful thank all these wonderful readers for all their wonderful reading. Thank you very much, everyone, and goodbye. All hopes confounded.